What's up, everybody? So, in this video, I want to talk a little bit about the importance of energy for a country and an economy, and energy independence specifically. So, I'll start this off by using Europe as an example. Now, it's funny, I actually did a paper about this in school years ago, saying how Europe, mostly Germany, France, and the UK were going to get themselves into a tough situation with the sort of how they align themselves. So, long story short, they are pretty much depend on Russia for over 80% of their oil and natural gas. There's this pipeline called the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and just imagine it goes all the way from Russia through the entire continent of Europe, and that's where all those countries get their energy from. And I don't know what they were thinking, but you would think any logical person or country would be able to conclude that it's not a good idea to let a hostile adversary control 80% of your energy, because this past year is a prime example of how detrimental that could be to your country. Energy prices in Europe went up, I think, 500%, a lot of sources said. And the only reason that it's temporarily down right now is because of the potential for another slowdown due to the variants. So, Europe is an example of why it's bad to be energy dependent on a hostile adversary, even if it wasn't a hostile adversary. You just never know. Now, I bring this up because the United States has put itself on a similar path. The past administration got us to a place where we were energy independent, which I thought was a very good thing. But now we seem to be going towards the path of energy dependence again. And part of this is doing the pipeline shutdowns and putting strong regulations on fracking and drilling and whatnot. And I understand that they want to switch to an alternate energy source, the green energy and all of that. But I'm confused as to why they want to dismantle the old before the new is implemented, because we're going to find ourselves in a situation where we are energy dependent before the new plan is in place. And we're starting to see this already, because Mexico, we get 10% of our oil from them, and they've already said they won't be exporting in 2022 because of how tight the oil market is. And now, a huge thing that everybody needs to know about the oil market is that OPEC is the, for lack of a better word, OPEC is the god of oil, and when it comes to world oil production. They control 50% of the global supply of oil and 90% of the oil reserves that are in the ground. So they have massive influence over the price of oil. And prior to Trump being in office, they often set the price of oil because, especially for America, because we were not energy independent. But when we did become energy independent, we did not have to depend on the prices that OPEC set, and that's a big reason why oil and gas got as cheap as it did during the past administration. In addition to that, there is some deregulation and whatnot. But now, the problem that we faced prior to being energy independent is resurfacing as OPEC tends to keep supply tight when prices are up because it's in their best interest to do so. So it ends up putting countries that depend on OPEC's prices in a difficult position. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the biggest financial institutions in the world are predicting that the price of oil will likely double in the year 2022. As I have here, the banks, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Bank of America are all predicting that prices increase from 50 to 100% in this next year. A lot of the things that this has to do with is the lack of investment. It's dropped by 50% in the last 10 years, and as far as new oil mining projects go. And another aspect of that is that oil producers are hesitant to increase supply because they're unsure if the demand is going to slow down due to any unforeseen situations where there might be less traveling. For example, if there's a new variant that requires a similar type of situation to 2020, because these producers would take a huge financial hit if they increased their supply, but demand started to slow. Now, another thing is that people are not using mass transit as much right now because of the pandemic, and they feel it's safer to use their own vehicles. A lot of people that used to use mass transit now are using their own vehicles. That's why the car market is so tight as well. But yeah, so the overall point that I'm trying to make with this video is that energy is the most important part of the economy. It's often said that energy is the economy. Without energy, your economy slows to a screeching halt. And it's true. Think about what would get done if it wasn't for energy. You know, you're even starting to see it right now. People are deciding to not do certain things because of how much it costs to buy gas. You know, say a 45-minute trip that would have cost you, or just a 45-minute trip in general, where you have to probably fill up your tank after doing that trip. That's something you could be deterred from doing that just because of the price of gas now versus a few years ago. That wasn't even a thought that crossed your mind. I think it cost me about $20 to fill my tank for a few years between 2017 and 2019, and now I think it cost me like $65 the other day to fill up my tank. So yeah, it's definitely having an impact on people's decisions, and we haven't even seen it, the worst of it yet, potentially. A lot of analysts from the site Gas Buddy, actually, that tracks gas prices, they're predicting an average of $4 a gallon of gas going to 2022 at some point, which is insane. So the point is, even though there's I guess a goal of moving on to an alternate source of energy, that's great and all, and I think there's a lot of good with that, but I think it's very, very unwise to sort of detach ourselves from the old system so rapidly that we put ourselves in a position where we're doing more harm than good to the overall economy. But Let me know what you think about that. Like I always say, let me know if I was clear enough with all of that, or if I was too vague about something. Yeah, you know what I mean. But thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe if you like the content. It helps a lot with the algorithm, and we're trying to get this thing big. You know, let's get it statewide first, and let's get it nationwide. I have no doubt that we can do it, so please help me out, and I appreciate it. Thank you, and I will see you next time.